Hello everyone and welcome to our channel, Doom Productions. We make feature films and videos about films and filmmaking. And today we're talking about one of the most technical aspects about filmmaking that is also a huge creative one, which is aspect ratio.
Yeah.
If you're new to our channel, we love aspect ratio. We have a whole series dedicated to breaking down the different aspect ratios. But just to kind of quick recap, there's 4:3, which is kind of a square shape. There is 16:9, which is what most people are used to on a YouTube video or a video that takes up their whole screen on their television. There's also 2:3:9 or 2:3:5, which is kind of what we think of when we think of movie aspect ratio. But there's also a lot of other weird ones that we see sometimes, which is something like 1:1 or also 4:1. Aspect ratio, when we say aspect ratio, we really are just referring to the shape of the frame of your movie. Something we love to play with and appreciate when movies change it or do interesting things with it. And we thought today we'd kind of talk about our own feature films that we've made and talk about the aspect ratios we used in them and why we chose to use them or why we chose to change them throughout. So
Yeah.
let's start with, I guess,
What started it all?
Oh Brother.
Oh Brother.
A lot of me talking to me, but I promise you're going to get a chance.
It's all good.
Oh Brother is a movie that is in 16:9, but it also has sequences in 4:3. And the idea behind the shape of the movie is that it's about two brothers who don't really get along very well. And so the idea is that as the brothers are together and as they kind of bicker, each one kind of had their own aspect ratio. The primary brother, the first character we meet, he's very square. He's very rigid. He's very locked in to his life, his rituals. He's a lot more, I guess, he probably wouldn't be as fun at a party as the other brother. So the aspect ratio I associated with that character is a square shape, but then as the other brother got introduced, he had a more rounded aspect ratio, so it had a much more circular view of the frame. And the kind of idea with that is we go between the two depending on the perspective of the scene, and as the brothers come closer and closer together and kind of resolve their differences. So by the end of the movie, the movie is pretty much, it's a circular frame. It's pretty round compared to the very beginning of the movie. It's been a while since I've seen it, so we're going to be showing clips of all our movies over all of this, but that one played around. The idea was having each aspect ratio kind of represent a character to a certain extent. So the next feature film we made was your movie House.
Yeah, my movie House. So House is not 4:3, it's 3:4, so it's actually a taller aspect ratio, but still kind of on that square side. And the reason it's shot on that is because it's a feature film that's shot vertically on a cell phone. And it's also meant, I mean, the whole purpose of that was to give this very tight, claustrophobic feel for the movie, and make it kind of feel like this world that's just, there's no top, no bottom to it. It's just this endless plane of existence that this character is trapped in this weird house. So it's just meant to feel very claustrophobic, but also very just kind of like the darkness is kind of just always looming over the character or always kind of encroaching around him. So it's kind of a weird, fun aspect ratio. Don't see a lot of vertical being used, so I feel like a neat, otherworldly aspect ratio to play with. Yeah. Then we move into our movie October,
which uses all sorts of aspect ratio.
It's all over.
Some of them are conventional, like 16:9 or 4:3. Other of them are just way tighter than 2:3:9 or 2:3:5. Some of them are much more vertical. And the reason behind that is because the movie's supposed to be kind of tap into the magic and the fantastical nature of Halloween and October and that time of the year. And so depending on the different scene or the moments throughout the movie, we shift to make the movie, give the movie a sense of warping and changing reality constantly, almost like you're in a dream, and using the aspect ratio as a tool to do that, not just relying on the fantastical characters or the music or the cinematography to achieve that, but also the aspect ratio. If our view of reality and our perspective of reality is constantly shifting and changing, we quite don't know what to believe, which is kind of what Halloween is all about to a certain extent, is that blending of the spirit world and the real world. The next movie we did was Video Carnage. So why don't you talk about that?
Yeah, Video Carnage is mostly shot in 16:9. It's a very full frame movie, but we wanted that to change at a certain turning point of the film where it turns from kind of this real world experience into, I guess for lack of a better word, a real movie where the bars come down. It's this very dramatic shift in the story, and it's kind of the climax of the movie where everything kind of gets real and gets serious, and so the aspect ratio is just meant to double down on that and enforce that. So it goes from 16:9 to, was it 2:39?
2:39.
Yeah.
So. And that was done, and really just because at that moment it ups the stakes, ups the tension, and we wanted the movie to feel kind of real and kind of lived into an extent, which is why we chose 16:9 at the beginning. But then when things start getting real, I mean, the shift from 16:9 to 2:39 is a very noticeable, dramatic shift.
Yeah.
It draws attention to itself. And that's what we did, how we used that moment, essentially. The movie we did after that was See You Soon, which again, 16:9, no aspect ratio shifts.
Nope, none.
Similar to House. House doesn't have any aspect ratio shifts.
No, it doesn't.
And that was done because it was a documentary.
It was real life.
And the aspect ratio of real life is 16:9. Doesn't need to call attention to itself. I've still never seen the movie, which is kind of a funny story.
I like how you said so certainly that it never changes the aspect ratio. I should have put just one shot in where it did, just to prove you wrong. But no, you're right.
I'm assuming it never changes the aspect
ratio. It doesn't. No, it's just real life.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
The other one we did, well, I guess it's your turn, which is
what?
Zach's movie.
Oh, Wild Boys. Wild Boys, The Hunt for Sasquatch, is shot entirely 16:9, again, because it's real life. It's shot like a web vlog, so it's going to be 16:9 because that's YouTube's standard aspect ratio. So we just did that because, again, we wanted this to feel as real as possible for you, the viewer, when you're checking this out. If you didn't know our YouTube channel and you just found this movie, hopefully you would at least kind of think or buy into the realness of the movie, and that would make it just a little extra level of enjoyable. So yeah, 16:9 whole way through.
And then the next movie we did was Wild Boys 2.
Yeah.
The 12 Days of Christmas.
Yeah, Wild Boys 12 Days of Christmas, which is partially 16:9, but also partially vertical. Is it 16:9 or is it a 4:3?
I think it's 9:16.
Yeah,
that's
9:16.
the aspect ratio of
a
vertical video. So it shifts between full frame and super long, tall frame. But it also has images where we see the two side by side.
Yeah.
And that's done, I guess, more or less to call attention to the different perspectives. So we know that when the video is vertical, it's the sister character who's filming. It's from the scenes from her perspective. When it's 16:9, it's from the boy's perspective, or the other characters who appear, the robber characters who appear. And that's done to really play with the format. And some jokes worked better in the vertical format than they did in the 16:9 perspective. And that's a huge part of comedy, is just timing, perspective, doing something unique with the joke to make someone laugh, a certain camera movement. And some of those movements and moments looked better full frame versus vertically. And that was really the reason we chose to shift between the two while we filmed that movie.
Yeah.
Now, coming up, we have a pretty special movie coming up. Your movie, The Bell Rings.
The Bell Rings, yeah.
Do you care to share what aspect ratio that movie will be in?
Primarily 4:3. 4:3.
4:3. Yeah.
Or 4:5. Or what? 4:3. It's 4:3. Sorry,
4:3.
if I add the by in there, all of a sudden it becomes not an aspect ratio.
4:3 or 1.33 to 1.
Yeah, primarily. But there might be some aspect ratio shifts. It's still in editing, so some of the stuff is still kind of up in the air.
Oh,
so
yeah.
You will see.
Fun stuff. Aspect ratio, again, is something that we really love playing with. It's a fun tool that we think a lot more filmmakers should play with. It's one of those things that's often neglected because paintings, comic books, art in general isn't limited to the same exact size. So why should every single movie be limited to the same 3 aspect ratios?
Yeah.
If you're a filmmaker, play around with your aspect ratios, have some fun with it. Maybe you might find a composition you can't achieve in the traditional way, or maybe you might step outside your comfort zone and discover an aspect ratio that you just love playing with it a lot more.
Yeah.
Follow us for more videos on films and filmmaking, and to check out when we release our new feature films. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.